Welcome to episode 18 of, I'm just going to say it, Savage Discourse.
Whoa. How controversial.
A lot of people, they see me on the street and they're like, how are you who you are? You know what I tell them?
What?
I don't know.
Damn. That is a bold
Isn't that also as equally controversial?
I don't know how you do it, man.
They ask, so why are you that way? And I'm like, well, it started when I was a boy.
Just a boy.
I was a lad.
Just a wee boy.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday.
It is Friday. That's when we're recording now. But
Yeah.
it doesn't change anything for you all.
Nope. It's Friday, and we're just doing the daggum thing.
Talking into mics.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so I want to start off this episode by plugging a gentleman that I absolutely fell in love with.
Who?
So I was perusing. So first of all, we need to make sure that we date this episode so that it's not timeless and that people can disregard it because of its timestamp.
Okay.
It is November 6th at 10 o'clock on a Friday. The election came and went. We still don't have a president in America.
I don't know if we ever will again.
Yeah, some say there never was one. And, we're trying out the whole anarchy thing.
Not yet.
We're not there yet?
It hasn't happened yet.
And so I, in an effort to, my chemical antidepressants, I'm pretty sure have not worked for a while, and I take them for mood stabilization. But I read a really great book about other types of antidepressants, like physical antidepressants, work antidepressants, connection, social antidepressants. And, anything can be an antidepressant.
If it makes you happy.
Or just reduces your suffering.
What about people that take pleasure in being depressed? Would depression be an antidepressant?
I would be interested to do a case. I would be interested to see the case study file notes on that person because that seems like a very unhappy place.
Comment below if you're if you love being depressed.
If you absolutely can't get enough of just feeling like nothing is worthwhile. So anyway, I was looking for a new antidepressant and I found one on the old YubTub.
Is it ashwagandha?
Nope.
What is it?
Ashwagandha. For those of you who don't know, ashwagandha is a African, Indian, Amazonian, Ecuadorian.
It's a herb.
It's a herb with a hard R. It's an herb, as our friends across the pond would say. Say it very American. The herb.
It's the herb.
Herbie reloaded, and it apparently is a natural stress reducer. But our buddy turned us onto it while we were visiting in North Carolina, and it also, as a side effect, turns your ejaculate ropes into rugs, which is pretty incredible because I could use a whole redesign in this room. Just start with an Oriental and just go from there because these throw rugs are just not doing it. But I never got rugs. If anything, I was shooting hand towels.
Oh, that's interesting. What would you say you were shooting before?
Probably some napkins.
Okay, so an upgrade. Going in the rug direction.
Yeah, I'm pre-rug, but I'm post-napkin.
You only took it for like 3 days, though.
That's
was it
true.
3 days or 4 days? It was 3 days.
Yeah, I definitely felt like there was like an urge, like my body around the middle was like succumbing to this force of like pulling my body into itself, but that could have just been the universe.
Yeah. Anyway, who's your hero, John?
Anyway, so I found this video. It was called Pet George Goose. And what it was this gentleman in Wisconsin walking his goose into Walmart, and the goose had on the he had a service animal vest, and on the side it said George. And I was like, okay, I've got birds. What's going on here? And so he goes in and like, first of all, it's a what do they call it? It's a Chinese crested. It's George's taxonomy is like there's another word for it. It's not Canadian. He's got like a hornbill. He's a hornbill, and that's it's from Chinese descent. And it's funny because the guy, his dad Bob, talks about that. He's like, well, he's got relatives in China, but Anyway, he's got this big. He's a hornbilled goose. He's white. They're either like a darker color or white. And this goose, like, apparently has separation anxiety issues and follows Bob everywhere.
Aww.
And it's funny because he makes goose sounds. He's like, man, like every time they do anything. And he follows them. He's like, come on, George, you goofy duck. And he like follows them everywhere. And he goes in, and he follows them. And he takes a video GoPro with him, and he records he and George. It's funny because in the first video I ever saw, he's like walking into a Walmart, and the greeters at the door are like, "Sir," and he's like, "I already talked to your manager," and they're like, "Oh, okay, come on in." And so it's like people know him. He lives in a small town in Wisconsin on a beautiful river. Anyway, they go in, he gets some mustard greens, and apparently George really likes mustard greens. And just like people come up to him, and he sometimes likes to be pet. He's not aggressive, but he's just kind of people usually don't pet geese or goose, but Anyway, so like I was like, oh my god, and it's like George is adorable, and he's this beautiful presence. He's a great lead character, and he's just this incredible guy, and he's so full of life, and he's funny, and he honk every time that Bob says like George, he's always like man, like he was like responding to his name. There's a video where he was talking about how George so every morning they feed deer together. They feed a family of deer, and it's beautiful. And the video, and he sits down and he talks about his life and the channel and subscribers, and then at the very end of the day, after George goes to bed in his pen, they feed raccoons. They feed a raccoon family. And there's big, chonky ones, and they're really sweet. And the guy the whole time is like, hello, babies. He's like this gentle, he's a Vietnam veteran. I know because I've watched enough videos to hear him talk about it. And so George is in his pen, and he's like, how you doing in there, George? And George cannot see him, and he's just like, man. He's like, yeah, he's okay in there.
Oh, he's good.
And anyway, like I probably watched several hours. Like each video is only 10 to 20 minutes, and I've watched dozens and dozens of videos.
Damn.
And there's 500 videos plus on the channel.
Holy shit. Is he one of those that only has like 1,000 views on each video?
So here's the thing. Like he was saying that a few years ago, they went from like 1 subscriber and 0 views. Now they have like 250,000. They have like 250,000 subscribers. And some videos have like a couple thousand views, and some have almost 1 million.
Damn.
So it's like George, but the thing is like the secret behind the scenes is like Bob is I never write comments because I never care. Like it's just like, oh, I'm not gonna be one of those people that writes comments on a fucking YouTube video. Nobody cares.
Like we ask everyone to do.
Well, but we're a small institution. Well, this is a small institution. Yeah, do not shine the mirror back at me. This is a small institution, and we encourage participation. But, like people on YouTube are like, I like this video. And you're like, oh, thank you for that contribution. Or someone goes on there, and post a porn link. But anyway, I post on there, and I was like, dude, your videos are this is an amazing, like you guys have such an amazing, and they like it, and they love it, and they like it, and they give it a thumbs up every single one. And Bob talks about that. He's like, yeah. And the way he talks is it's so funny because like, the whole time he's talking, he'll be like, yeah, me and George are out here. We stayed up late. And in the background, every time he says his name, you hear him. And he's like, that's right. He is this like, and he has 3 sayings he always says. He says, that's right. He says, ya goofy duck. And he says, you betcha. And he does that like every time, every episode. I want to put a counter up. And it's so heartfelt and amazing. This guy loves his animals. He loves his wife named Kimber, who I know because I watch enough of the videos.
Kimber.
And at the end of the night before he goes to bed, he rubs in the winter because George's feet get cold and they get really dry. He rubs like a hand pomade that used for like working men hands, like when they get dry. He rubs it on his feet. And George just sits there in his lap and he rubs his feet.
Oh,
it's like literally the most heartwarming thing. Anyway, the channel is called Pet Goose George. And even during like the election, and you could tell that he's in Wisconsin state, and maybe he leans a little bit more to the right, whatever. But it's like he'll bring up stuff, but then he's like, we love everyone on the channel, everybody who voted, everyone who didn't. Like, we just love everybody. And I was like, you know what? Way to be, Bob and George. And they're just so beautiful, and their property, and they have 2 dogs, Roxy and Rosie. And I just love, anyway, I just want to put that out there because more people, and it's so, like George just goes out in public, and it's so funny. They go to a feed store, and those people in there have either had enough of their shit or they never cared because they walk in and he's like, and everywhere he goes, Bob's like, hey, George, what are you doing? What do you see? What is that? Oh, and George is like, and doing goose stuff. And they walk in and the guys are just like, what can we get you? And he's like, oh, I think George wants a ton of corn. And they're like, And they get out, they like don't say anything, get out the book, and George is honking in the corner, and then Bob is so funny because he'll be like, yeah, George. And then when he sees that they're not responding, he's like, yeah, go ahead and give me like 500 pounds of corn, please. Put it on my account. No, George. And he goes right back into it. Anyway, that's what I've been doing.
All right.
Over the past week. I know that you have been busy.
I've been in school.
Yeah, you back in school? Well, school with an asterisk.
Yep. What's the asterisk?
It's not real school.
That is true.
Not academia.
Well, what do you consider real school? Because I'm sitting in a classroom learning.
Academia.
There's a dry erase board up front.
Yeah, I was misspoken. You're right. You are in school.
Projector.
Oh.
It's a teacher.
If you've got a transparency projector, then literally you are in school.
Transparency? No, I'm not one of that. They don't make those anymore, do they? Transparency is where you throw the sheet on it, right?
Yeah, it just projects with a light box.
No. This is like a modern projector that you plug into a laptop.
Oh, I got really excited. I thought it was a transparency. I remember having those in high school.
I hated those.
Those are awful. The people would always put them the wrong way, have to turn them over, flip them over.
Literally every time. In my entire career in school, no one ever turned it on, and it just was fine.
It's such primitive technology. You have to turn on, you have to adjust the magnifying glass, you have to adjust the light source, you have to adjust the distance, then you have to make sure the material you're projecting light through is on there correctly.
And someone would always get lazy and not want to use a sheet and just write directly on the thing, and then it was shitty coming off and leave a permanent smudge. Yes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they would smear it and it just makes it all one big nasty blob.
Dude, man. Yeah, that's
public education. This is a good time to say we need to fund our schools, fund public education, because that's unacceptable.
Boo. Education sucks. Also, there was never anything white in my school. Everything was off white.
Ooh, because
you know
it's
what
been
I mean?
used over and over.
Yeah. So yeah, public education, I guess. I guess.
So yeah, Kyle is studying to become a. What are you studying for?
No, I became it today.
Oh, did you graduate to being a big boy?
Yeah, I'm operator qualified.
Oh,
to work on gas pipelines.
That's amazing. I mean, hey, dude, the thing is blue collar, white collar work is work, and it's satisfying because you have structure to your day.
Oh yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been much better than the last 6 months of not having any structure.
Yeah, I think I ran out of things that I enjoy doing with myself and to myself a while ago.
It's so weird as humans, we just crave freedom and vacation and not having anything to do till we get it, and then we just don't. We want anything but that.
Yes, we do. I think what we want is the illusion of control.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the way it's set up is perfect, and everyone's just looking forward to retirement, and I only get one week of vacation a year, or 2 weeks or whatever. That's probably the perfect amount because it's just enough that you can look forward to for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
That being said, if you hate your job, fuck that.
Yeah.
Just get a different job.
Yeah,
but,
we did an episode on that.
Oh yeah, we did.
No use staying in a toxic, unfulfilling work environment.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
So it's interesting because in terms of employment literature and performance management, being actively disengaged is worse for the bottom line than not having enough people to fill up the building. If you have people that are actively ruining and not doing what they're supposed to be doing and dragging down performance, that's worse than not having too few people to do everything because, people aren't dragging down. It's interesting. Anyway.
What is it if you have too few people to do everything and everyone also hates it? Because that's the place I came.
You might have to press reset, start over. If you have a work culture like that, it's probably coming from the top. It's probably toxic management.
It sure was.
Ooh, there it is.
Oop, there it is. I hate that
and
place.
Continues to be.
Oop,
I've identified the problem.
Yup. But this new place seems pretty cool. They seem to know what's going on. They make a lot of money because they're good at what they do. And my favorite thing about them is they're a corporation, but they don't have the illusion of, oh, we're a family, we care about you. It's perfect. It's very clear if you don't do your job, you get fired. And I love that.
Okay.
Because I don't have to worry about someone acting like they care.
Yeah.
When they're just a
they
twat.
just care about They just care about the results. You either do it or you don't. If you don't,
yeah, not even that. It's yeah.
Well, I will also say that there's, unlike a lot of position, there's a very high degree of explosiveness. I think we talked about this on the last episode, is that if you make a mistake, you could potentially level a city block.
Yup. Fun stuff.
So it's important. That's why you're well reimbursed.
That's that shit I like to do.
Put yourself in danger.
I like stakes being high.
You like your... If my steaks aren't intoxicated, don't bring them to me.
No sober stakes here.
Well, no, I think I am getting ready to go back to my job, the field that I thought I was never going to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just dropped the tab in my terpene beer.
Was there still stuff in there?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just going to drink around it.
We'll drink the good stuff.
I'm drinking both.
That's bad.
So I've got a black cherry bomb. It's a Sweetwater hydroponic terpene-infused seltzer. And it's really good. It has terpene from the cannabis plant in it. There's no psychoactive. It's just the taste. But it's really, someone left this in my house, and it's just really good. But yeah, we talked in our first episodes. We talked about kind of being alone and lost at sea.
I'm changing things up.
You're going off script. Kyle just removed his mic from the boom stand. He's holding it like he's a talk show host.
I am a talk show host.
Technically, that is true.
Yeah.
Wow, the world's smallest the absolute no viewers at all in the room. Well, actually, we have two. We just mask them.
We are talking, and we have a show.
Oh my God, I'm putting that on my CV. I was a talk show host for several months and continue to be.
Yes.
Anyway, I left the field of ABA and wanted to do anything else. And I applied for all these jobs, almost got a job in sales, almost got a job as a regional manager, almost got a job as... And it turns out that either they weren't looking for... either wasn't qualified and didn't convince them that I could do the job, which is what I keep coming back to, or I was too wordy in my explanation to be in sales because I was too thorough.
It was that one.
I should have left the throne in the other room, but I had to bring it with me.
I feel like it's not a good look to talk about books that you've read and give recommendations in job interviews.
Yeah, I can see that because nobody wants to be the small peepee in the room. Like, they want to have the control, and I'm like, well, actually, the field that you're in, this would be an incredible opportunity for you.
Mm-hmm. Or they could have took that as you being a good salesman.
Which they didn't.
Yeah.
So
it's the first one.
It's a binary choice, and it definitely wasn't the O. It was the it was the one. But anyway, I basically went on a 7-month journey, read a bunch of books on burnout, started meditating, read a whole bunch of books on career development, and came right back to where I was at the very beginning. But things feel different now. It's a new company. It's going to be with some great people. I went for an on-site to meet potentially one of my direct supports who'd be under me and running my programming. And then as I was talking to her, another person walked by, and it was the trainer, and it was somebody that I used to know at the previous company, and she's super amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh my God, you work here too? And we were both lamenting the previous job. And it was super cool. I feel a lot better about it. And I'm taking over an existing caseload instead of starting from scratch.
That's awesome.
So I won't have that same kind of, I think, visceral attachment and kind of invested interest that I did at the previous job.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same spot where I was like, I just don't want to be in this field anymore, like managing. I don't want to manage people anymore. But coming here and seeing this place, if I end up moving up here and like managing people, it would be a lot different because it's like, first of all, it's professionals. It's not just college kids and people that don't give a fuck. And second of all, like you said, it's kind of it's not like starting a fresh like experience. Like there, I had to like write a bunch of SOPs and stuff, and
that's pretty cool. Make sure that's on your resume.
It is.
Good. You never showed me your resume.
Well, I didn't need to.
I've seen a lot of you, Kyle, but I have not seen that part of you.
I didn't need to. I got a job.
I still want to see it. I just want to see what you got.
I'll show you. You want to see? I'll just start. I remember it. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right.
What you got?
I forgot.
Show me what you got.
I forgot it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean it's no, it's actually a nice resume.
Okay.
It's way better than I thought it would be.
You know what's interesting is that in the lay world of blue collar work, you call it a resume with a tilde over the e, so it makes it a resume. Or I think it's called an accent mark. But in the academic professional world, you call it a CV, which stands for curriculum vitae, which literally means in Latin life of your it's like it's your curriculum vitae, life of your knowledge, like life of your history.
That's douchey as hell.
No, that's just how it is in academia. I put CV on the top of every application.
I could never be in that world.
Yeah, you could.
I could. Okay, I could. I would not. I would never like that world.
Well, yeah. If you have this, if you can't get past an arbitrary convention of academia, then yeah, you might be too.
I would literally go blind because I'd roll my eyes so hard every time I walk into a room.
You'd be like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but these ceilings need to be cleaned deep. I've noticed that in every room I've been in.
Dude, I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Okay, but if we're gonna break down the semantics and the arbitrariness of convention, then everything in conventional society breaks down.
Yeah, because it's a simulation.
Ooh. I wonder how long you're waiting to bat that back into the box.
It's just loaded. It's always ready.
It's just loaded.
Dude, I pull this out so much. And I don't even need to. Like, it's just when people say things that are a part of the simulation, it just comes out. I can't help it.
The simulation works through you.
Yes.
I'm going to take your simulation as knowledge for the code of the universe. And because of that, I think that's beautiful because it's the simulation speaking to its simulation self.
Yeah.
Which is, if you take a more traditional view, is just the matter, the star stuff interacting with itself.
Yeah. All that shit.
That's dope.
It's real cool.
That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. So let's see. Pet George, going back to work. I'm reading a really great book right now. Thanks for asking, Kyle. It's called The Existential's Guide to Reality.
Wow. And
it's talking about, do you know any of the Danish philosophers?
Yeah.
You know Soren Kierkegaard?
Mm-hmm.
He's a Danish existentialist.
Yeah.
Do you know Jean-Paul Sartre?
I do.
He actually, I'm pretty sure he was a humanistic philosopher.
Yeah, he was a human.
Okay. Anyway, there's two chapters that I've read. One is about
Wow.
One is about anxiety. The other is about depression.
Sounds like a fun book.
We don't have to talk about it. I'm gonna bring it up though because there's things in there I think are really good.
Anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
What did it say? What do the Danes think of it?
Well, okay, so the book is written by this guy named Gordon Carmino, I think, and he actually used to be a boxer. He was a pugilist. He was kicked out of a lot of schools. He was a bad boy. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Just how excited you
I am so excited. His name is Gordon Carmino. He's a PhD. He was a pugilist, and he I don't remember what school he's either teaching at, but he actually is a boxing teacher now. In addition to being a philosophy and getting his doctorate in philosophy and teaching, he also teaches boxing.
What? That's
isn't that crazy?
combo.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
He obviously didn't get hit in the head enough.
Well, maybe that's because he's really good at boxing.
Ooh.
He boxes with existential concepts. And so he wrote this book, and basically it's a reading of the existential philosophers and what their information tells us about society. And what I thought was really cool is that in the previous book I was reading called Lost Connections by Johann Hari, which is by a journalist, about how basically chemical antidepressants really, I'm summarizing and I'm not, this is a very short, I recommend to go read it, but chemical antidepressants don't do anything. We need social antidepressants. There's all these reasons why we're unhappy and depressed, and it's for a lot of reasons. Anyway, in there, he talks exclusively about how now I'm not talking about antipsychotics, anything that addresses like a mood or anything. I'm talking specifically about anxiety and depression and how SSRIs really are not effective, because we talked about this before. But so after reading that, I thought that was really cool. And that was really education, because for me, I'm on an SSRI. I'm on Lexapro, and I have been for almost 10 years. And I've thought about going off of it, but then I keep coming back to it because it stabilizes my mood. Did I bring that up earlier in this episode? Gee, wow.
Oh, no, not this episode.
I thought I did.
Did you?
Maybe I was talking to somebody else about it. Anyway, or maybe it's just the universe bending in on itself. But anyway, so in this book, he talks about the same thing, and he says that there's a lot of research that shows that SSRIs do not fix the problem because they're chemical antidepressants. And if you look at everything, so existential philosophers, what does it mean to be existential, Kyle?
No, what's it mean?
What do you think it means?
I don't know. What you got?
Is this preparation if I ever become a teacher to be like, so what class? What do you think? I don't know. What do you guys think it means? I don't know. You're the teacher. Tell us.
I don't know. Is it?
Anyway, not even grammatically correct. Anyway, so existential is based about humanity and living a good life and making and finding the greatest good, and it really focuses on the external world as a source of suffering, grief, as well as our own. And it's actually, they say that the existential philosophers were the first psychologists because of the way they think about despair and anxiety and all this stuff. So anyway, a lot of his stuff is translated from Danish, but in there they talk about that we describe our reality in terms of the institutions that prevail. So in the 20s and 30s, or whenever people got back from World War I, people had shell shock. They didn't think of it as like panic attack or disorders. But then if we got into the 60s and 70s, it wasn't because things were hard for you, it was because you have a brain problem. And so when you have to recast the issues, the point I think is really fascinating is that the institutions that prevail design the language that we use to describe it. And so the primary way that we use to describe all our issues right now are through chemical antidepressants, and that we have an issue in the brain. Whenever the more that I learn, the more that I read, and the more that I learn, the more I see that, yeah, we all have those issues. And some people really do have psychiatric and psychotic disorders, and they do need to be on a lot of different medications to balance them out. But the depression and anxiety that we feel can really be described. So in the first chapter, it is not a chemical issue, but is really a life issue. What?
You're all over the place.
Dude, I get really excited.
I know.
And so anyway, in the anxiety chapter, he talks a lot about how anxiety is a sympathetic antipathy as well as an antipathic sympathy.
Explain.
So those are confounding terms. So sympathy is obviously feeling with somebody or suffering with somebody, and antipathy is the opposite of that. It's like not feeling anything towards somebody. So he said it sounds like a contradiction, but it's the way anxiety is, because anxiety, the way that the existential philosophers describe it, is that it's being crushed by the potential reality of possibilities that we have. So whenever you come up to, have you ever heard of the call of the void?
Yeah.
It's like a French word is to say it, but it's like basically when you're on a big cliff, you feel that anxiety, like, oh. And so the way that we describe that, from the way that philosophers describe that, is that it's the fear of you taking the possibility that you could jump. It's the fear of possibilities.
Oh, okay.
And so anxiety is really the fact that we live in a world where we have, which is, counter to a lot of other things, but the way they believe it is that everything is possible. Everything is, within the physical laws, but, like you could get into a car accident. You could. It's like whenever you have those anxiety attacks around people and other things, it's like, I could do something crazy. I could say something crazy. And it's the fear that you're going to lose that control. So in a philosophical perspective, it's just, it's more related to that. But
okay.
Now, depression is kind of the same way, in that despair and depression are two different concepts. Depression is kind of a normal state of the world and the way that we feel and the way that we talk to ourselves, and there's ways out of that. So Kierkegaard is not a psychologist, so he doesn't really have solutions to how to combat it, but the author does talk about some of those things. But I guess the point is that I could go down the rabbit hole and I can see your eyes glazing over. The point is that it's just really fascinating. I love philosophy, and the way that he writes is like, the last thing I want to say about the second chapter, because this is going to segue, is that there's a difference between shut the fuck up. Let me talk, Kyle. You read a book and then you teach me about it.
What do you mean, let you talk? I just dominate the air the
You
whole
read
time.
a book. You read a book and then you tell me about it.
All right.
Anyway, he talks about there's two types of health. There's spiritual health and then there's mental health. And a lot of people, when they're talking about wellness, they're talking about two different. You can have two different conversations, like, "Oh, I'm well, but you may not be spiritually well," or you can be spiritually well but not be mentally or physically well. And so, what I feel like after hearing it said that way, and like those two domains are so important, because as a atheist, secular humanist, like I for so long have not put a lot of interest or faith in develop. You hear faith? An interesting word. I haven't put a lot of that stock in that, because they just are not scientific. They're anti-intellectual. But I do feel like maybe I've done myself a disservice because now I'm reading all this stuff and I'm like, maybe I do need a spiritual life.
Yeah, spiritual doesn't mean you can be spiritual and not believe in God or anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good for you.
I know. It's just, it feels kind of like, I mean, as I grow and as I go into my 30s, like I feel differently, but
I mean, I feel like it's not saying it's not true, but I feel like it almost has to be worse on you mentally to not believe that there's anything out there. I'm sure that what I'm trying to say is I'm sure that people that do believe in God wholeheartedly and think that when they die they're going to heaven and there is someone watching out for them, I'm sure that they mentally are much more well than people that don't believe there's anything out there and everything's up to chance and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, I mean, even just believing that, I mean, just like even Buddhist shit, like just believing that we're all one in some way, I'm sure is very helpful.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm slowly coming to. And that's what he talks about. And he does bring up Buddhism. He does bring up Christianity. He brings up, different world religions that kind of make that point. Because Kierkegaard, a lot of the existential philosophers do use God. Like they do say God. But you can use God in any sense of a greater purpose or greater value or meaning or moral sense. But yeah, it's just really interesting because I find myself becoming more spiritual and more wanting to see the connections rather than know in my head that everything's discrete and we're the final epiphenomenon of all these chemical processes. It really robs me of my humanity, I feel like.
I mean, it can all be true.
True.
We can still be the final product of chemicals and evolution can be real and all that.
Yeah.
We could still all be one at the same time.
That's exactly, but I need to focus my awareness from the mechanical to the divine.
Oh, yeah. Let's stop doing that.
Thanks, God.
Yeah.
If I focus too much on the mechanical, I feel like I lose like the biology and the chemistry and the like if I focus too much on, insert part A into slot B and then everything moves because of the all of these very anatomical way to look at everything, the molecular way, I really feel like it's easy to feel very alone and feel very like nothing is ultimately meaningful or matters.
When was the last time you meditated?
Today.
No. How long?
I meditate every day. Actually, I will say this. I did try to meditate today. I usually meditate every day, usually once or twice for 10 to 20 minutes, but I wasn't able to today because my beautiful, darling bird was screaming her asshole out. And so I had to stop.
She sucks.
No, she just wants attention.
All right. Well, she's stopping you from being one with the universe.
Yeah, I will say that one of the prerequisites, here's my dilemma. So it's like I'm meditating and then I hear her start. So what she does is she has this behavior chain. So what she'll do is she'll start and she'll go like, meh, meh. And it's like every few seconds. I'm a behavior analyst. I count. That's called inner response time. I'm counting the time in between her responses because it's a way to prevent myself from going insane. And so I'm like, okay, that's 3 seconds. That's a 4-second average. Okay, we're back down to 3 seconds. She goes, meh. And then she'll start going, nah, hello, and she'll start talking. And then if I don't respond within a few minutes, then she starts going, meh. And so it's like as a behavior analyst, like one of our jobs is to cut off at a precursor behavior. Because if you reinforce the behavior at a precursor, which I should be doing and being like, as soon as I start hearing her going, making her chicken sounds, I should be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Because that would reinforce the chain way early so she would never have to escalate to those other behaviors. But I'm meditating. And so if I do that, I'm no longer being present in the moment. I'm worrying. But then I also hear her screaming. So I have two options. One is to meditate through it, even though I'm not going to be able to meditate because I'm going to be irritated and frustrated. Or two, I cannot do it, which does not seem like the meditative process. I'm not being one with the way things are and accepting things, and I can go yell at her and put her in the closet for time out.
I'm going to say something you're not going to like.
Okay.
There's a saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's something like if you have an excuse for not meditating because something's distracting you, you're not meditating, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing, like I can feel it. And the only thing that she does, I can meditate through her chicken sounds, I can meditate through her talking. I cannot when she starts screaming. That's because as a clinician who's applying in a recursive process of science, I'm applying animal principles to human and then recursively applying human to animal. I have to I know that she wants my attention, but I can't be there right now. And I'm not just going to let her scream because she'll do it for hours. If I just let her, she'll just go and go and go and go and go. And so I have to interact with her, but then I'm not being present in the moment. So, but here's the thing, like I can meditate and it doesn't always happen. It's just sometimes that happens.
Well, I think you're thinking about it wrong because that's kind of That's just like meditating in a hyperbolic time chamber right there. Because like
Ooh,
you
that's
have
a good
to,
reference.
yeah, no, right? Because it's so much harder for you to focus if you actually can focus through all that. Then it's a better practice. You know what I mean?
That's true, but I feel like I'll get to the end of the 10 minutes, and instead of being relaxed, I'll have to get up, huff over, and put her in the closet for timeout because she's screaming for attention.
If she's still doing it, yeah, but finish out your time.
Yeah.
And just stay in the moment. Don't think about what you're about to do and what's
I
happening.
know.
I'm just saying.
I know.
There's no excuse.
I just... I will say, speaking about meditation, yesterday I was meditating and I feel like something was happening.
Like what?
I don't know.
Like enlightenment?
Something.
Like what?
I don't know. It felt very...
Can you explain it at all?
I don't know.
Did you poop yourself?
Something happened, Kyle. I'm a woman now. No, I felt what I could only think to describe as the beginning steps to the first mental process of the beginning of considering reaching enlightenment. Like I felt this like, and it only happened for a few seconds. And when it happened, I was like, oh, and I was like, I jolted, like I was like, oh, it was like it literally is, it as profound and amazing as it is as a process and as a phenomenon to experience. It's so cliche to talk about because it's, it's like whatever. But it was like it's like almost like it wasn't because like when you meditate, like I get in that state where like, I'm just seeing colors and shapes and depths. Like I'm not really experiencing individual objects. Like I'm really just kind of it being the present awareness. And then it really it felt like something like, I don't know, it felt like something gave way, like something. It was almost like this push. Like I was like, this is something else is happening.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Yeah, but it only happened for like, and I've meditated probably like, let's see, it's November. You turned me on to that meditation app like 4 or 5 months ago. I try to meditate. I would say I've probably meditated 50 to 100 times, maybe more. And like this is and it only happens like once out of every 10 times for a few seconds.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't even know how it is, and it's like I don't even know if it means anything or if it's literally just like
it means something. Yeah, it means something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say it means like you're actually being enlightened. I mean, I don't know if enlightenment's real, but what it means at the very least is that you're super duper relaxed, and you're. I mean, that's kind of a positive affirmation that meditation's working. Is that's happening? You know what I mean? Because that's something you never experience in day-to-day life.
That's very true. Well, and it's also like, how do you define enlightenment? Because every sect, every group of individuals under a banner have their own idealization. But it's like, if meditation is, if enlightenment is the absence of any worldly attachment, like it felt like closer to that. But in terms of like, oh, I understand all things and I'm omniscient and I see, the bigger picture, I think it was not that. It was.
I think that's the same thing, though. Think about it.
Okay, fucking Siddhartha
What
am I trying to say? What's Buddha's name?
Siddhartha guacamole.
Gautama.
So it's kind of like, have you ever lucid dreamed?
Oh, many, many times.
So you know how when you do it now, like, can you control it and you stay in it for a while?
So yes. So I actually used to do reading in undergrad on lucid dreaming, and I would try it, and I read that eating a lot of carrots helps you do that for some reason. I don't know. And there's certain foods that are supposed to help you reach that, and it would happen, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is so cool," and then I would wake up. But over years, what's happened is I will see it, and then I'll be. It's almost like realizing that you're like. I don't know. It's like realizing that you have like I don't know how to describe it. It's like you're trying to be really cool. It's like I realize that I have like 2 dicks in my pocket. I'm not supposed to, and I'm like, okay.
It's literally just staying calm in the moment.
Yes,
that's my point. Is that as this happens to you more and more, you're going to get better at staying in that. You're not going to jar yourself out of it.
Wow, that is a great parallel.
Mm-hmm.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I really, it was, well, and I think, it was like, that's what I did. I was like, oh,
because I mean, it's impossible not to at first.
Yeah.
Because it's a new experience you've never felt before. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really neat.
But you said you see like shapes and colors and stuff, but you've never like full on hallucinated weird
No. So like when I talk about, I do guided meditation through the Sam Harris Waking Up app that you told me about, and I still use it daily because it's amazing. The way that he describes it is like, you're gazing into space, but you're not gazing at anything. Just allow everything to take its shape. Everything is just an array of. You're not, in my room, I'm not looking at bookshelves and books in my desk and my couch. I'm looking at colors and depth of field and
Oh, are you
and
meditating
sensation.
with your eyes open?
I do both.
Oh, I hate open eye meditation.
So it happened when I was doing open eye meditation. That's what's really interesting. Yes.
That is really interesting.
I've never hallucinated. I mean, the only time I hallucinated when I did psychedelics, almost 10 years ago.
I hallucinate frequently when I meditate.
Really?
Well, all right. So it depends on. I get into that super comfortable state, almost like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you would. Well, I mean, what's the definition of hallucination? Seeing things that aren't there?
Yes, by textbook, yes.
Okay, well, my eyes are closed and I'm seeing things. But, I mean, it's not like I'm, like, flying over mountains and stuff like that. It's just...
Do you just see distortions, like visual distortions, where, like light or energy will come and then it'll, like, disappear and it, like, flies by your visual periphery? And then
not just that. It's... I mean, that's how it starts out, but then it turns into, like, shapes and... like... Yeah, you've seen what like a DMT trip simulation looks like, right? Like maybe like that, but like a tenth of that. Okay. If that makes sense. And so, I mean, I want to say, oh, it's hallucinating or oh, some crazy shit's happening, but I'm sure it's some phenomenon when you're wide awake and your brain is feeling like it needs to be seeing something.
Like throwing patterns together.
Yeah, that sort of shit.
Yeah, what I usually see is like it's almost the way that it seems like to me is almost like I'm. Which I could be wrong. It just seems like it's my optic nerve pulsing because it's like I see these greenish, dark blue, very light, like blackish, darkish, bluish, greenish things, and it like will like come and then it like goes down a tube and then disappears and it like comes back really slowly and then it like goes back down. And it's like I think that's just like me, like my eyeball perceiving it's like the blood flow to it, maybe. But yeah, no, I haven't gotten anything.
My stuff's different all the time, though, is the thing.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It's weird. But I get that pulsing feeling, too. But it's probably, that's just, you're focusing on everything.
My body's straight bodying.
Yeah, and your eyes are probably doing that pulsating thing right now. You just don't realize it because you're distracted by everything else. You know what I mean?
Yes, because the central nervous system, its job is to filter out stimuli.
Yeah.
Because there's thousands of sensory inputs. Isn't that crazy?
Dude, it is crazy.
Richard Dawkins refers to it at the end of the God Delusion as the world's greatest burqa. Which a burqa is, like in the Islamic religion, it's like that thing that goes over. It's like the hijab, the thing that goes over. And he describes it because there's literally, like an electromagnetic spectrum, there's infinitesimal hues and colors, and we can only see like 10 or something like that. Like not 10, but like he says, if there's like this whole list and we can only see this, it's the world's greatest burqa. That's why we can only see that. And that's crazy because other animals like detect colors and shapes and hues that we don't even know exist.
I know.
Which is crazy because then it makes you think, like, is there a color or a hue of our interactions? Like whenever we are thinking about someone or like when we're vibing, when we're talking and laughing or when we're crying together or alone, like is there an aura? And I know people talk about auras, but it just makes me wonder, like if we can't perceive it, like, I don't know.
It's a possibility, but I don't think so. Well, all right, so you could never know. But I don't think, like, when people talk about vibes and people with good vibes, I think that's probably, like, I'm sure that can be attributed to an evolutionary thing that you want to be on the same page as someone else because you're more protected or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the in group? It's like you're safe because you're connecting with somebody.
Yeah,
the in group, yeah.
But, I mean, just be chill.
Yo, man, chill out.
No, just be chill, you feel?
Why you gotta be so dark? You just chill out, man. You're being crazy.
Oh.
So yeah, that's kind of my meditation update.
I haven't meditated in so long.
You know what? If I go 2 or 3 days, I start to realize that I am living in that inner monologue. Like I'm like swept away by it and I'm just like in my head all day long. And then I'm like, oh, I need to meditate. And then I'll do it. And then like several days go by and I'm very like, I see things and I feel them as they come and I let them go. But like if I don't do it for several days, I just go back to my own habits.
It's so nice, isn't it?
It really is. It's a buffer between you and like being tossed asunder by your capricious emotions and thoughts and every thought and feeling that comes banging in. You don't have to fuse with it.
I would never say that I've like gotten what I need to get out of meditating, so I'm not doing it. But I'm definitely, because I did it so much for such a long time, I'm definitely a different person now because of it. And because of that, I feel like I don't need to keep going back to it all the time to like maintain being calm all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, if I did it every day, I'd probably be even better at just letting shit go.
It's just your tool belt hanging on the closet. You can go take it back down anytime you want.
Yeah, I should probably start doing that again.
For me, it provides a break, and it it literally disrupts those thought patterns and gives you the opportunity to be like, oh, what am I thinking right now? How am I feeling right now? It allows you to check in instead of just being in the ocean that's always pulling you a million different directions and worrying in the future, being in the past,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that like, not just me being humble or not, me being whatever, but like I don't think that I'm that good at it. I actually talked to, my brother. He is a friend from India, and he's such a, like, just being around him, he just emanates this incredible. Now they have obviously a different philosophy and religious energy there, but I was like, I just don't think I'm meditating right. And he's like, well, have you tried sitting on the ground? Like, you need to be connected, like you need to be of your spine against. And I was like, oh, I meditate in my bed against the wall. And he's like, oh, well, I think that's your problem. Because I never, like, I don't meditate in a chair. Like I meditate with my back up against the wall in my blankies and my pillows.
That's how I do it. Why do you think you're doing it wrong?
Just because, he's like, what, are you thinking that it's not getting better? Are you thinking that you're getting worse? And I was like, honestly, I feel like I'm getting worse at it. Like, I'm doing it, but, like, I feel like I'm, like, at the end of it, like, it's like what I've managed to do is keep all my thoughts at bay for 10 minutes. And then as I come out of it, like, there used to be this feeling of clarity and this feeling of like, oh, like I just took a nice long hot bath after, wrestling around in a mud pool, and then now it's like, it almost like is like comes rushing. Like it's like I've kept it off for 10 minutes. And then when I stop, it's like the walls fall down and my thoughts are like, hey, remember your penis? Hey, remember all those things you got to do? Hey, your belly's weird. Your forehead's big. And it's like all these thoughts come marching back in. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So, Are you always listening to guided ones from Sam Harris?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but here's the thing: there's 10 minutes and 20 minutes. Yeah. The 10 minutes, I would say some of them he doesn't say anything for like a minute or two at a time, and some of them he, it depends on what his lesson is that day. The 20-minute ones, though, there will go like periods of minutes at a time where there's nothing, and I have started doing those so I can increase the time I spend doing it, but. I don't think that. It's helpful though for me to hear him. I still like hearing that guided. Like I have tried to do. I do it every night when I go to bed. Like I do it without guided. I focus on my breathing and I slow my breathing down and I don't attach to thoughts. But when I do it, I do it with that.
Okay, I never finished his program because I got like 20 something in and have just been doing the. I still use the app for the timer, but. That's about it. Like I would rather do it on my own than the guided stuff at this point. But I'm pretty sure there's a favorite function on there. Next time you do one and you feel good afterwards, favorite it and see if listening to the same ones over and over again like that help you. Because it might just be like what the lesson was didn't resonate with you.
Oh, that's true. That does happen, yeah, because I can tell whether I'm going to like it or not if at the very beginning he's like, let's keep our eyes open today. And I'm like, fuck.
I think that's a big reason why I stopped, because it was like 2 or 3 in a row where he was talking about keeping your eyes open, and I was like, I hate this. It doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't, but I will also say that like when you do it at the end of a session, it feels really good rather than starting out that way, because when I'm starting out that way, I'm just like, great, here's all the shit in my room.
Yeah.
All the things that need to be clean.
Yeah, it might help if we had clean rooms.
Yeah.
That could definitely be a factor.
I think that's the environment intruding into our sacred space.
Yeah, maybe doing this on like a nice mountainside with a good view would be nice with open-eyed meditation.
Yeah, we got a few of those. We just that's it. That's all. Yeah, that's all it is. That's easy.
Yeah,
we can fix that.
Let's climb up on this mountain outside.
Okay.
In our backyards.
In the hills of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh man, those hills have eyes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did I tell you that I finished another book?
You sure didn't.
It's called The Examined Life by Stephen Groats.
Oh. That's cool. I've been going to the gym again.
Me too. I started working out again. This is week 3.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've been lifting.
Yeah, because my epicondylitis issue has receded.
Nice.
Don't look up epicondylitis. It's going to tell you it's tennis elbow. But it was actually just my epicondyle, which is a bony protuberance on the elbow, on the inside of the elbow.
John fucking loves tennis.
I can't stop. I was doing deadlifts wrong, and I would come up at the very top, and because the weight and because I didn't have enough grip strength, it would fall to my forefinger and my middle finger, and that over time puts strain on the muscle, on the tissue that connects to the epicondyle, and that created trauma, and so I wasn't able to lift for like 4 months. But I'm back to it. I'm not doing deadlifts at the behest of my good friend Kyle here, and I'm replacing that with like wide grip pull-ups and other stuff.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm lifting it. It feels so good.
Yeah,
I forgot how good it feels. And I don't take pre-workout anymore.
Oof. Why not?
It makes me anxious.
No,
it
that's
just
fair.
it revs me. I feel like I could do it. Like I feel like it's more like me avoiding a sensation I could get used to rather than just like I hate it outright. Like I used it for a year and a half. Like I loved it. It was really good.
Pre-workout, I did this before I knew about habits, like building habits and like the habit loop and all that. But I definitely formed a habit of going to the gym based on the high from pre-workout.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to do that again because it's fucking great.
Mm.
But I thank you for that pre-workout. by
You're
the way,
welcome.
You won't use anymore.
Golden standard, baby.
I have to 2-scoop it because it's so weak.
Yeah, Optimum Nutrition, I mean, it's really, it's healthy, it's good, it has a lot of good stuff in for you, but it's not like the crazy, like, stuff that's called, like, liver bomb or butt fuck or whatever or, like, headshot, whatever the crazy.
I'm about to get Total War.
Total War. I love the names for these pre-workout. They are so aggressive.
Yeah, I mean,
they're like metal album names.
Total War, Woke as Fuck is another really good one.
Intestinal vicissitude.
Yeah, Mr. Hyde. That's a real good one. Mr. Hyde's stronger than Woke as Fuck and Total War. Mr. Hyde's like 450 milligrams of caffeine.
It's just a stimulant. Like it's literally.
It's not just a stimulant.
No, and I know it has a lot of really good stuff in it, but it's like if they had all that stuff with like a very muted stimulant, like
they have no stimulant pre-workouts, right? John, they have no stimulant pre-workouts. Yeah, it's all the other stuff without caffeine.
What?
You didn't know that?
What?
All right.
Since when?
A very long time.
No.
I guarantee when you bought that Optimum
No.
Nutrition shit, there was an anti-stimulant option.
Nope.
Okay. So I know what you're spending your first paycheck on.
Dude, I cannot wait.
That stuff in there is so good. Like, besides the stimulant. I mean, my main thing is the stimulant.
You told me that when all this Alabama stuff was done several weeks ago, check out those podcasts, Kyle Goes to Jail Part 1 and Part 2, that you tried one from our weightlifting buddy, our bodybuilding buddy, and you said that you had the internal monologue of, I may have to leave the gym because of how on drugs I feel right now.
Yeah, and it was great. What do you mean?
I don't remember you telling me you felt good about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I thought you were like, this is not okay.
No. I mean, you know how.
It was a euphoric I'm freaking out, not a terrifying I'm freaking out.
Well, I like freaking out is the thing. So I guess there. We might both be having panic attacks, but I perceive it differently.
You're like, dude, my body is on fire right now. I am freaking out. And I'm like, dude, I do not feel good. And you're like, no, dude, I'm riding this wave.
Yeah, because I mean, I was jittery and shaky and sweaty while I was lifting weights. And normally that doesn't happen when you lift weights. Well, when I lift weights, it normally happens when I'm running and stuff, like the sweaty stuff. But sweating while just lifting weights, I mean, that was very different. And, yeah, it honestly felt like Molly. Remember that?
I remember.
So, but this stuff has nothing. I think that was just because it was like my first time doing a high stimulant pre-workout in 3 years.
Oh, that is true.
Because that was one of 3 samples, and then
blew open your receptors.
Yeah, the
Even
next
though
two.
you like down coffee.
Yeah, there's a lot of other chemicals in there too, though. That are, like, there's a chemical that circulates blood to your muscles. That's almost an all pre-workout, so that means you get a bigger pump when you're lifting. Beta alanine.
Yep,
it's really, really good. Makes you all tingly.
I forget what that does.
It makes you super tingly, but it makes you get like a couple extra reps in.
That's right.
Helps with muscle endurance.
Doesn't it leave like lactic acid or something? It like prevents you from cramping or gives you more oxygen or
yes.
something?
Yeah, I think it
like
decreases
that.
the lactic acid,
Okay.
I think. And a lot of them have creatine in them too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the one you gave me has creatine in it.
That's great because I have my own creatine supplement.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm about to get creatine next Friday when I get paid. I'm getting Total War, I'm getting creatine.
You know, I realized that a lot of my anxiety attacks from several years ago was because I was working out 3 days a week, but I would run 3 miles, and then on Saturday I would work out 4 days a week. 3 days a week I would lift, do my workout plan. I would run 3 miles in each of those days, and on Saturday I would run like somewhere between 8 and 10 to 12 miles. And on my treadmill, and I would always take pre-workout to run, and then, which is not good at all, and then afterwards I would take my protein powder with creatine. And I think that I was so drained of water that my body would shut down or something like that, and I would start to feel awful, and I was like, oh my God, and I would start to have a panic attack. And I thought it was from, like when you have a panic attack, you think it's a million different things because anxiety is so generalized compared to like fear. Fear is like, I'm afraid of that thing. Anxiety is like, what is it? Where's the danger coming from?
Yeah.
And so I like thought back on that, and I was like, oh yeah, because I started taking creatine again, and I was like, oh yeah, I just need to drink more water.
Yeah, I bet you were super dehydrated because when I go to the gym, I've been going to Planet Fitness, but wherever I go, I mean, there's a water fountain there, and I always usually I average, so I'll go somewhere, like I'll do a set or a set of reps, and I'll do 3 sets, and pretty much every 3 sets when it's time to go to the next exercise, I need to refill my water bottle. So I drank like a whole bottle of water for every 3 sets. So I'm drinking like a gallon of water in the gym.
That's what I do. I drink 2 liters every time.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're doing that, you should be fine.
Yeah.
If you're doing that on top of the other stuff, you can't count.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't count what's mixed with the other stuff as water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded bad. Dude, I did the math earlier. I think I've had it's definitely over 1,000 milligrams. I think it's closer to 1,200 milligrams of caffeine today.
You need to be careful because future Kyle is going to hate you if you have heart problems. And you know what else is adrenal problems. If you're releasing all that adrenaline and everything else from caffeine,
you can fix that by not doing caffeine for a while. Yeah,
can you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called adrenal fatigue, and when you stop drinking caffeine for a month, they're back to normal.
Okay.
Are you asking me if I have the willpower to do that, or if that's physiologically possible?
The first one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've done it before.
Mr. I didn't do drugs for 3 years. Do you think you can handle that?
Yes. I can handle it, but I'm not going to anytime soon.
But right now, I'm going to punish my adrenal glands.
Dude, yeah, my adrenal, yeah, I'm good.
No.
I'm just going to keep upping the dosage.
I love the pump it gives me.
I do, man.
I love the way it puts me in fight or flight. Yeah, I used to like stimulants, and then you know what? I think like I'm saying, I bet I could do. I mean, when I start working again, well, in literally 3 days, like I'm gonna probably have to start drinking coffee again because I'm gonna be a wreck.
Try a bang.
I did, dude. Did I not tell you that when I was working at my last job, my buddy Colin, who I'm good friends with, he's a great guy. He's in the field, excellent clinician.
Out in the field.
In the field, not out in the field. In the field of ABA that I'm in, we have different connotations.
Different fields.
Different. My field's got corn in it. Your field's got barley. And he loves those energy drinks, and so he brought in some bangs and was like, yeah, you should try one. And it was like cinnamon butt sweat or something. So I cracked it open. I literally had 2 sips from it, and I thought my heart was gonna stop.
Oh my god!
No, I know it sounds like I'm being dramatic, but it was like. Do you remember the Red Lines? Like
yes,
that have killed people? Okay, well,
it's made by that company.
People overdose on that caffeine, and it fucking gives them cardiac arrest.
I'm pretty sure, and I can't say for sure because I haven't studied it. I don't think you have either, though. I'm pretty sure the people that have heart attacks and stuff are people that usually don't drink caffeine and then drink a ton. I'm pretty sure if you work your way up, it's not like me. Like I can drink 1,000 milligrams of caffeine, no problem, and I'm not afraid my heart's
take
gonna
a nap.
I did take a nap when I got home. I swear to God, dude. But no, I drank. The last week, I've been drinking 2 or 3 bangs a day.
Wow.
I don't know, man.
It's a lot of sugar, buddy.
It's 0 sugar, John. It's 0
it's
calories.
It's a lot of sucralose.
Yeah, you're correct.
That's a lot of sugar that's 1,000 times more potent than natural sugar.
What does that have to do with anything?
It's just bad for your body. Remember, you were telling me about how aspartame and those type of super sugars are bad for your liver and your kidneys.
No, they are not bad for your liver or kidneys. It's bad for your gut bacteria, your gut biome.
Oh.
Yeah.
You were telling me about that years ago.
And when you say more potent, I feel like you're confusing that with being worse for you. It's more potent.
No. It's sweeter. Like it signals to your brain like this is what I want. Like it's addictive in that sense.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But I mean, it's no worse for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, unless you're considering. I mean, in that regard, if it's more addictive, and I guess it could be worse for you in that regard. But I don't care. Bang bang.
No, bang cubed.
Also, you're drinking the wrong bang. Cinnamon butt sweat is one of the worst flavors. I like what is it? Black cherry vanilla is really good. Unicorn surprise.
I just don't like astral projecting through my body when I'm at work.
I love that shit. But again, we have very different jobs.
Yeah, we do. Well, and also like I don't when I'm at work, I want to be in my head. Like I want to be able to be present. I want to be able to alert. I want to be focused. I want to be able to ration and think. And when I'm on caffeine like that, like I'm like, my brain is a million miles a minute and I'm not able to like, okay, what needs to happen here?
I like for my body to feel like a Slipknot song.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
It's any.
Okay. I thought you were referencing a particular song.
No, you know how they're just like balls to the walls, you know?
Oh, that's Corn.
That's Corn.
Dude, I think the best combination, I think the best amalgamation of musical genres is metal and scat.
It's happened once.
No, they scat in several of their songs. I thought it was not.
No,
just
I mean
that.
once is in one band. Did
Oh no.
Who else?
Amur.
Oh,
So Amur is a metal well, they've changed genres a lot. Now they're in like post hardcore or whatever. But like,
did they get MGK?
dude, in their new
Did they get MGK?
No.
Did Eminem make them change?
They did not call for someone who did not call for them, and they got booted out of their genre. But no, in one of their new songs, Freddie. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Not. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. The lead singer from Amir. Mr. Amir. I met him. He was on some drugs or something, but he was really cool. But anyway, Frankie is his name. He, dude, in one of their new songs, their albums, he scats at the end, and I was like, I don't hate this, but I don't like this.
I don't think one song where you scat makes.
Yeah, it doesn't make you a multicultural.
It's just Corn.
Okay.
Corn's the one that's done that.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I like Corn. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think anyone else could pull off what they did.
Yeah, that's true. They have some heavy jams, some tasty riffs.
Yeah, man. I like Corn. I've been listening to a lot of Slipknot lately. Been listening to a lot of old school Bring Me the Horizon.
Ooh. Dude, I listened to their newest album today.
What'd you think? Parasite Eve? Is that? No, Parasite Eve's on it. That's not.
Yeah, their new album is called Posthuman.
What?
It's called Posthuman : the something.
That's not what it's called.
Yes, it is. I promise you. I'm gonna Google it.
I love letting that happen.
I know, whenever I'm not actually typing. It's called Posthuman Survival Horror.
Oh, you're right.
And I will say I liked it. I will say that their album before this one, Amo, is probably my favorite newest one.
What about the one that
Sempiternal?
No, not Sempiternal. The one with the umbrella on it.
Oh, Spirit. The Spirit show us the Spirit something.
That's that's the Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said you liked that one too.
I did, but I just haven't listened to it enough. Like their very first one, Pray for Plagues, is a banger, and then the next one, Suicide Season, didn't care for. The one after that, Beyond Heaven and Hell, didn't care for that. On the next one, I really like Amo, and then I like this one too. The one you showed me on our try, I like that one too. There's some good ones on there.
That's the Spirit.
I will also tell you that I have to, when it comes to that genre of metal, like I have to hear it several times.
What genre are we talking about? Are we talking about old school Bring Me the Horizon or the new stuff? Because they're not even the same band.
No, they're not. They even wrote a song about that.
Is it all the same people still?
Ollie Sykes, the lead singer, is still there. I don't know if they still have.
I think the other ones are too. I wonder how they feel about that because
their change. You can look. So yeah, it's The same bass player, the same drums and percussion, and then Ollie Sykes. So their guitar players have changed. But they've also had the same, what is this? Is that keyboards and program? They've had the same keyboard since 2013, but their guitarists have changed. Wait, no. I am so dumb at reading graphs. Their lead guitar. No, it literally is the same band. They've just added a keyboardist. They had another guitarist for a little bit, and then they've had like the same lead guitar and chorus for a while. Can you imagine that part of one of my master's degree is being able to visually analyze graphs?
I was gonna ask if graphs are in the GRE.
They are. Actually.
Oh, brother.
Dude, I'm actually good at graphs. Shut up.
Okay.
Oh, dude, look, they won for Best British Band in 2019.
Yeah, I'm sure they're way more popular now.
That they're not screaming.
Yeah, I just like their old music.
Their
more.
old stuff is like metalcore-y deathcore, and then
I wouldn't consider that metalcore.
Heavy metal.
Not heavy metal either. Heavy metal, I'm pretty sure if you type in heavy metal, that's what they say, like Metallica and Iron Maiden is like. Heavy metal is like the old ass, like 1980s metal.
Metalcore. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Deathcore early. That was their very first album. Pray for Plagues with Deathcore. Yeah, heavy metal. You're right. It's like Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera,
which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've just never really that music doesn't make me feel anything.
I respect them because they were the now Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden, or not Iron Maiden. Sorry, Black Sabbath. I'm thinking of Iron Man by Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath. I love them, but all the other bands from around that time, I don't know. I'm with you. I mean, Metallica's got some good songs. Obviously, Iron Maiden's got some good songs.
I'm gonna say something controversial, like we did at the very, very beginning of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Metallica. And a lot of it's funny because when I remember being like 18, 19, and 20 and wearing like, going to Hot Topic, getting my death metal t-shirts, the new, metal, and going out, and there would be other dudes wearing Slayer, Megadeth, and like you would walk by them and they'd be like, "That's not real metal," and I'd be like, "Fuck you guys," and they'd be like, "Slayer," and I'd be like, any of the bands I used to listen to, and they'd laugh. And like I always hated that elitism in metal, but also I realized that the foundation for a lot of the music that I really enjoy was laid by those bands, and I missed it. I never went back to listen to them. I never had anybody to show them to me. And so when I listened to it, I'm like, this is slow. It's not that intense. It doesn't make me feel anything. The lyrics are kind of like, I love metal that like is really about overcoming your personal flaws and like being a better person. And there's a lot of metal that has those meanings and themes. But a lot of that metal back then is just like sad, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like I said, I respect them because they laid the foundation. But Metallica, they've got a couple of good songs, but they have like 3,000 songs, and I like 7 of them.
Yeah.
So Metallica seems like the go-to, like people that don't really like the music. They're like, "Oh, fucking love Metallica." You know what I mean?
Well, and it's like the older people that grew up when they were like making it big. Like, dude, I remember, this is so funny that I remember this. I had a geography teacher in high school named Mr. Eckert, I think, and his favorite band was Kiss. No, not Kiss. No, Kiss is the one that does like the tongues and the.
I hate Kiss.
It was like they're like hair. Weren't they like proto or after the hair rock metal? Like
I think they were
like,
still hair rocky.
Yeah, he loves them, and he would talk about going to their concerts and tailgating and everything. And like for him, like people in that generation, like that's super cool. Like that was their Megadeth and their Metallica, and there were different genres, and it's like I just don't get it. Like I get it, but like I don't resonate with any of that.
I absolutely hate Kiss, and I can't tell you why. I'm not someone that just hates things that hate them.
I don't think I've ever like listened. I'm sure I've heard their music.
They're so generic sounding to me, and they have like, I don't know, man. I just hate the whole costume thing.
That's a big thing. So they're dude, that's how I feel about what's that band that everyone loves, and they were like the first alternative rock, and they're so. Oh, it was right there, and then it disappeared. They are so generic, and everyone's like, well, they laid the foundation. I'm like, for generic-ass music.
Give me more. Do they wear costumes?
No, they're... Oh, my God.
Give me more.
Oh, dude, I can't remember.
Any detail.
I can't remember. Like, I want to say, like, it's not Interpol, but it's a band that sounds like that. But they're not musically, just the name. It's like, they're so... people have them on T-shirts.
Wow. Do they make was there a music video that they made? Were they ever on MTV?
Probably.
Do they have a guitar player?
Okay, alternative rock. Let me see.
Interpol.
No,
You're not about
no,
to say
no, no.
Nirvana, are you?
No, no, no. I
Okay.
don't like grunge.
You don't.
either.
I was about to say you don't like Nirvana. I love Nirvana.
The Butthole Surfers. I love that. Ice-T was considered. Oh my god, dude, what are they called? I can't remember what
Can
they're.
you give me anything else?
No, dude, I don't know any of their songs. I just know that they are
Like their name sounds like Interpol.
it has those letters in it. Like it has characteristics. Dude, it keeps flashing into my head and then it disappears. Not Dead Kennedy.
You know, there's a phenomenon when you're trying to remember something, your brain blocks it.
Yeah, it's called the white it's called it's thought suppression.
Of course, you fucking know. Well, let's talk about something else, and it'll pop in your head.
Okay.
Scientifically.
Okay.
What's another grunge band? Is
Pearl Jam. That's what I was talking about.
I was literally just
fucking
about to say
Pearl Jam. That's who it is, dude. Fuck Pearl Jam. So I have I was talking to this guy. So like I used to have this supervisor who I became friends with, and then she has a husband, and we used to hang out and talk, and we used to hang out at each other's house every now and then and drink and catch up about work because we're in the same field. And her husband always wears Pearl Jam, and he would be like, so what kind of music you listen to? Because we talk about whatever. And I was always like, I'm a new age metal guy. Like but I also love all kinds of music except like new rap, new country. Like I love like all different genres of music, like classical and whatever it is, like blends. And he was like, well, you like rock, huh? Have you heard of Pearl Jam? And I was like, I hate Pearl Jam. And he's like, what do you mean? They laid the foundation. And I was like, okay, if they laid the foundation for alternative, and apparently in this Wikipedia article, they're in the grunge category. But like anytime he was like, well, look, I'll play it. And he put on a Pearl Jam playlist. It literally sounds like music you forget is there. Why would I want to listen to that kind of music? Like it's in the background and they're like, the rock is uninspired. It's like, it's forgettable. It's calm. And I'm sure, I don't know if we have any listeners that love Pearl Jam, but like, it just seems like that to me is like the most boring, it's like you have gone above and beyond to not stand out from the crowd by creating an entirely forgettable sound. Like nothing in their music galvanizes me. It doesn't electrify me. It doesn't make me feel anything. If anything, I just feel bored. And maybe that's just me. Like
it's just you. It's forgettable to you. Other people love that shit. I mean, I like a couple of their songs again, but I mean, I wouldn't claim that I love them or even like really like them.
What's like one of their big
Jeremy?
Nope, don't know that one.
Oh, you don't know any of their songs. Jeremy's their biggest one.
No, I played some on Rock Band.
Well, I'm sure Jeremy was on there.
Oh my god, dude! Eddie Vedder is the lead singer. Dude, I love one of his songs. He has a solo project and he has a song called Society that I play on acoustic guitar. Oh my god, am I wrong?
I don't know.
Dude, this has been a healing process for me. I need to listen to more. If Eddie Vedder is the lead singer, I need to go back and listen because he has a side project.
Here's the thing I don't like about Pearl Jam is that it's basically mumble rap in the rock genre.
Is it really?
Yeah. Do you remember what throw on a YouTube real quick?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to do that.
Well, okay. Well, you're not going to be able to really talk about the subject then.
It's fine.
Okay.
He has a song called Society that I love, and it's Eddie Vedder, and it's like his own. It's separate from. Oh, it's from Into the Wild. That's what it's from.
Oh, that's a good movie.
It's right here. Society. Dude, yeah, that's a great ass movie. But it's I went and saw it in theaters with my parents. But wow, I am like having like a coming to Jesus moment. Like I did not know that he was the lead singer of Pearl Jam.
Have you reached enlightenment?
That's none of your business.
Oop. Well, it's one of those bands that I sing along to ironically. But I still like them. They're fine.
Spoon Man.
Now that is a band.
Is that Ace of Spades?
That's Soundgarden.
Soundgarden.
You fucking
pleb. I know. Oh, look at him.
You know that Soundgarden is the lead singer is the same as Audioslave, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I do like Audioslave.
Chris Cornell.
I haven't listened to a lot of Soundgarden. Didn't he pass away?
Yes.
And it was.
You could call it that.
A big. Oh, did he commit suicide?
Yes.
Oh, you could call it. He aggressively passed away.
I just feel like that's not. I feel like passed away has a peaceful connotation to it.
Yeah, it really
and hanging
does.
yourself.
His
is not
time
that.
here is done. Versus he aggressively removed himself from living.
Yeah, dude. Him and Chester Bennington died like I think it was one.
Yes.
Was it 1
yeah.
year to the day?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it was. It was somewhere around there. Though.
I thought it was like a year to the day or something, but I don't know.
I'm trying to go back to Pearl Jam. Here we go. Anyway, sorry we fell down this weird hole. I was
I'm
just
not.
like, okay. Good, you owning it.
I like music.
Drink your juice. You barely had any juice.
First of all, you're wrong because I was drunk when we started this. I don't know. I didn't think I poured it that
Jizz.
heavy. Jizz.
Did you pour it heavy?
I suppose.
You tell me.
I don't know, man. I had like 3 sips before we started, and I started this thing drunk.
Well, we've kept it together. That is a mighty ship.
Okay, what else we got? I didn't know that Henry Rollins' band, Black Flag, was punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know. I've never been into punk. You know the experience I've had with punk before? Honestly, if you told me, like, I felt like I had an idea of what the genre punk was until I Googled Black Flag to finally listen to him because I like Henry Rollins as a person.
Oh, he's so dope. He's very intense.
Yeah, I've seen him on Joe Rogan a bunch and on other things, and I like him a lot as a person. And
I love listening to him talk.
I knew he was in Black Flag, and I think I just assumed that Black Flag was like a classic rock band, and then I heard they were punk, and then I looked him up and listened to him, and the sound that punk is not what I thought punk was.
No, you're probably thinking of pop punk, which is much more like choruses that are sung and much
Maybe.
more,
I don't even know.
They have much more of a traditional song structure.
Give me an example of a punk band or a pop punk band.
Okay, so if you want to go down this road, 2 things. One, there are several documentaries that I've watched years ago, so I don't remember a lot of it. But it's called like Salt Lake City Underground because there's several schools of thought. One is that punk started in Salt Lake City, and one is that punk started in California, and then it was back in the late 70s and 80s, and it was DIY. Punks were like the people that didn't want to be in heavy metal. They didn't like heavy metal. They saw it was too mainstream, too big. So they were like, they played, anywhere they could. They, dressed what they had. It wasn't about the makeup. It wasn't about the scene. It was about the music. And that's how it started. And so the music was very anti-establishment, very anti-metal, it was just like.
Sounds very grungy.
It was. But grungy, again, became very popular, and they, again, rebelled against grunge. But so in the 70s and 80s, it was like, you have like the Monkey Biscuit. There's you can look it up, and if you want to, there's a guy on YouTube that I love, and I watch all of his videos. It's called the Punk Rock MBA, and his name is Flint McKinley, and he's a super awesome guy, and he talks about he's like, what killed 2000 metalcore? What killed, he has all these amazing videos. But anyway, he talks about pop punk. But anyway, pop punk is much more like and if you're born in like the 90s, you're going to have a different answer than me, who was like really more into the 2000s. But like for me, the pop punk was really mainstream, which was like Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Simple Plan, Green
I would consider
Day.
that alternative rock.
So if you follow it back, like there are bands that were earlier that I can't remember that really like bridge the gap between like the 80s punk scene and like the new pop punk. And he has Flint McKinley has videos on that I can't remember, the interstitial bands. But that's when I think of when you talk of punk, you're talking like Black Flag, Monkey Biscuit. I can't remember any other of those bands. There, Anti-Flag, I think was one. There's a lot in that time, and they were really underground, just aggressive, loud, anti-establishment. But they were also a really tight-knit scene. And they were on the news because people were like, "Is punk music destroying your children?"
Yes, everything is.
Yeah, of course. But then, like when I think of pop punk, I think of really more like emo, early 2000s, late 90s, sad breakup songs that are really like this weird in between genre.
Interesting. So as I was saying, because and that you've said that, I believe even more that I've never actually heard a punk song until I looked up Henry Rollins, and the closest I've ever came to listening to that was there was a DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4 where you're in a biker gang, and when you went into their headquarters, which was a shitty little dive bar, there was always music playing that sounded just like Black Flag, and It's very punky.
Yeah, it's it's very like from beginning to end, it's very sound discordant. Very
Yeah, it's
heavy
very.
screaming.
It seems like they're just yelling, and it doesn't go along with like the guitar or anything.
Exactly.
It's very.
And the whole and that's the whole thing. The whole point is to say like fuck you to traditional music tropes back then. Because like rock and heavy metal and everything like became this. It wasn't about the music anymore, is what punk saw. They saw it was more about the status and about being big and selling out. And they were all like, no, fuck that. Like we're gonna make the music we want to make. And it is. It's very discordant. It's not following. And there's some bands like to this day that still follow that, like I can see the name of the band. The name of the song is Fire Eyes Sword in Mouth, but I can't remember the name. There's several bands that still, they're called like noisecore now, but they still have some of those influences from punk bands where it's discordant off, and they're good.
You don't like Type O Negative, do you?
Oh, you talking about like bands like Depeche Mode and Type O Negative?
I'm talking about Type O Negative specifically. I don't know who that is.
Either you showed them to me or someone else told me about.
I was showing them to you like a while ago, and you said you'd heard of them, but you didn't. I haven't really listened to much of theirs.
When I hear it, I definitely vibe with it, but I don't like seek it out.
I think I like it because it's nostalgic. Because when I was wrestling in high school, my coach.
That's right. We were talking about that. You did tell me.
My coach loved them, and he threw them on all the time. So I listen to them a bunch now still, but I think they're considered goth rock or something.
Yeah,
I mean, they're very.
I was pulling up Depeche Mode so I could remember what the name of that genre is, because Depeche Mode, Type O Negative, synth pop, new wave, alternative rock.
No, it's definitely goth rock. I mean, that's what, or goth metal. So I mean, Type O Negative. If you just look at Peter Steele, you'll know everything they are.
Oh, that's right. Because we were watching videos of him, and he's just such a big, strange man.
Yeah.
Yeah, gothic metal. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Type O Negative. Isn't there a song called like? I watched it. Didn't you play it on a video?
Black Number One.
Yeah.
And If You Don't Kill Me, I'm Gonna Have to Kill You.
Yeah.
That's a good dude. I've listened to like all their songs.
Have you ever listened to drone metal?
No.
So drone metal, the main band in that genre is called Suno. It's SUNNO, and the O and I don't know where they're from. They got to be Scandinavian or something, but they're what's called drone metal. And so what they do, and they apparently have sold out shows. They will. They will go on stage, and basically they play like one chord every 30 seconds. They go out there and they're just like, and it rings out for 15 to 30 seconds, and then they play the next one, and it's darker and heavier. And that's it.
Is there like, there's no lyrics?
I'm sure there are, but yeah, they're from America. Oh, they're from Seattle. I thought they were like, the way they look, I thought they would be from like, yeah, but they're drone metal.
Let's listen to it after this.
Okay, it's really hard to describe.
Skeptically interested.
It's honestly the only way that I've listened to it is whenever that's sped up, because it's so slow.
Oh, I'm not into that. But I mean, I'll listen to it. I'll give it a shot.
Drone metal, heavy metal that blends slow tempos with heavy subdued metal with long duration tones. It's just like
that is the highest. Oh, that is the most overpaid guitarist of all time. I could do that.
Well, and they just have everybody in the crowd, and they're just like, bobbing along.
Oh yeah, brother.
Like, and I don't really like black metal, like Behemoth or anything, like where it's very overtly satanic. Like I think that's just as silly as like anything else. But I would, it's much more lively, and they're from the same like doom kind of background. But
interesting.
Well, this has taken an interesting turn. Great conversation.
That's what we do now. We conversate with no preconceived ideas going in.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're out there, expand your horizons. Metal is good. Oh, I started listening to baby metal today. Do you know what that is?
Oh my god.
Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a Japanese band, and they're 3 really cute, kawaii schoolgirls, and there's like, I would say like metalcore-y / heavy metal, and then they're like over top of it, like one of their songs is called Gimme Chocolate, and it's like really, it's like a blend of like cute Japanese high school, college schoolgirls and like death metal.
I'm almost positive I won't like it.
Yeah, I don't think you will.
Okay. I'd rather not listen.
But Bring Me the Horizon has a song with them, and it's actually pretty good.
I mean, I can't even that's not a selling point for me anymore. I like Bring Me the Horizon's new stuff, but it's not like I'm a fan of Bring Me the Horizon now.
Yeah.
Like, all of their new stuff has happened to be stuff that I like, but I know I'm not going to enjoy them soon if they keep going in the direction they're going.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I mean, I know why they're doing it. I would really like for them to go back to the way they were, but that's never going to happen.
No.
Because of medical reasons.
Yeah, and just I think what I've realized is a lot, and it's not like you don't have to be like an insider, someone who listens to music to hear this, but a lot of like the big bands like Asking Alexandria, a lot of the ones that started out, that's just an example of like were very metalcore-y, are now very, very hardline like rock. Like it's just like there's not a lot of screaming anymore. They don't have the metally, the complexity that goes in metal. It's very like studio rocky, which is fine. I mean, and I think that's because you probably get bored of screaming and like people don't relate to it as much as if they can hear and understand the lyrics. And
that's 100% what I think it is. It's not that you get bored of it, because I think regular rock is way more boring than that.
Yeah.
But I think it's that people can relate to it more. And I don't even think it's about reaching a bigger audience for the sake of, I mean, because it'd be different if you were trying to reach a bigger audience to like get your message out there. But if you're like changing your whole sound to reach a bigger audience, it seems like you're just doing it for profit.
That's called shelling out.
You're correct. I hate that shit.
Well, but here's the other thing. A lot of people, so as someone who's been in the metal scene for years and like, what?
Nothing.
What?
I had a cough.
Okay. As someone who's followed the metal, and I played in several metal bands, like a lot of like really elitist kind of like, I'm better than you metal fans always talk shit about bands that change their sound because they think they're selling out. But the other thing is like musicians mature just like you do. They get older and they're like, I don't really want to play that music anymore. I've been playing it for years. I want to try. Like Northlane is an Australian metalcore band. And when they first came out, they're heavy, and now they're like a lot more ambient, and they still have their metal influences, and that's over like 5 or 6 albums. Like music's changed, like nothing stays the same, and I just think that there is like some bands you can definitely tell sell out, and or some bands started that way, like what's the We Built This City band? Jefferson Starship.
We built the
Dude, I love that song,
rock
but you know what?
and roll.
So one of my favorite bands, Ninja Sex Party, that you can't stand because Kyle doesn't like when he gets comedy and his music mixed together.
I don't.
And I love it. I think it's really
I
artful.
hate that shit.
Anyway.
The only person, it's okay with Bo Burnham.
He's a genius, though.
Wait, is there another one that I like? Music and comedy together? Oh, Lil Dicky.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, he's also an incredible lyricist.
Yeah, the rest suck.
I disagree. But anyway, they have an album series called Under the Covers where they talk about where they do covers of songs.
Wow.
And they did We Built This City, and I fell in love with it, and then I looked into it, and I found out that the band that plays that, which I think is just called, was Jefferson Starship the band before that? They were like a rock psychedelic band, and they broke up and formed a new band that wrote that song. That song is not about anything. Like, it's actually like a corporate-y, like, they wrote the lyrics, and they've asked them, and the guy's like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. It's like the height of McDonald's corporate music. And it's so catchy and fun, but it's like, it's
just lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Just lie.
I know.
Dude, like, why?
Well, they broke up decades ago, and so whenever people talk about it, like, what did you mean when you wrote that song? And he's like, literally, me and several other people wrote that song, and it literally doesn't mean anything. It's just a song that's supposed to make you feel good and was going to be on the radio.
That's terrible.
And that dog shit, yeah, I was like, oh, that, but you know what?
I mean, no one likes a sellout. No one's even neutral about a sellout. Everyone hates a sellout, except for sellouts.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I don't mean.
I don't know.
Look it up. Look up the history of that song. If you look it up and like We Built This, and I can't remember what the name of that band, if it's Jefferson Starship or Starship. It used to be something, then changed. That song is really interesting if you look at the history, because they literally have gone on record as saying like, yeah, this doesn't mean anything. We just wrote it because we wanted to put out a song that was going to be on the radio.
Okay, here's my unrealistic proposal.
Okay.
All right. This would make me
I like that you put the clause up front.
This would make me a lot happier with bands changing their sounds, okay? When they hit that point where they're just going to completely fucking switch like Linkin Park did.
Ooh, yeah.
Oof.
Which I don't think they were selling out. I literally think they were just their sound
I
evolved.
agree.
Yeah.
For whatever reason they're doing it.
Yeah.
I would like for them to change their name. And it's
That
completely
is unrealistic.
I know, because it'd be like starting over, and
Yeah, you got to keep
especially
that lineage.
because you're selling out.
So I think here's the problem with artistry and art. Like, what if like Picasso was making all these credibly distorted, surreal images, and then suddenly he started doing art with feces? It's like, does he call them like they're not Picassos, they're Poop-Cassos now, or like does he keep the name? And it's like, as an artist, that is still an extension of you. Like your art has changed, but that doesn't mean you and your name on that has changed. It's like if I create. If I, it's like if I created guitars my whole life and then I suddenly went into like the anal bead business, like would I change my Well, actually, yeah, maybe I would in that case. But like, I'm trying to think when you think of like the artist and the art they produce, like, should you change fundamentally the descriptor that people apply to your genre, your version, your very unique instance of a created project and a created product, or do you just lay it on there because it's you? You're the artist.
I 100% agree with that. Like like Linkin Park, exactly like you said. I don't think they were selling out. They made plenty of money off of Meteor and Hybrid Theory. When they were good, and then all their other shit, they knew that people weren't liking it, but they kept doing it because that's what they wanted to do. And I respect that. It was just dog shit music.
Well, and there's other bands like dog shit music.
It was
like Breaking Benjamin. Like they hit the scene and they were playing like hard rock, and then they went kind of like alternative hard rock for their second album. Then the third one, the one with Diary of Jane, you can tell that their music evolved. And then Dear Agony, and then Before Dawn, and then so it's like, but they've always stayed like 3 Days Grace, like other bands in that mall rocky kind of hard rock generic, like 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin, like their sound still sounds the same. Like Breaking Benjamin's newest album goes hard, like I would say it's one of their heaviest. But I don't know, like, but like, how can you say like it's definitely different? Like it's not the way it used to be, but it's still like, I just think that begs a bigger question: is like, what is the identity of the artist, and does the identity change as the music change, or is that vice versa, or is like, am I defined by my product, or is my product defined by me, regardless of how that looks?
I don't know. That's why I said it was unrealistic. I don't even agree that's a good idea. It's just what I would like. I would just, I don't know.
Hey, we're now Breaking Benjamin 2. We're now Bring Me the Horizon 2.
That's fine. That'd be fine. I feel like that's a good way to keep your name and let people have good expectations going in, reasonable expectations going in. Because Bring Me the Horizon is starting to sound a whole lot like late Linkin Park. But for some reason, I'm way more okay with it with Bring Me the Horizon. I'll tell you why, since you asked. Because there's a medical problem that has caused it. Ollie Sykes blew the bloody doors off of his throat when he was screaming so much.
Like M. Shadows from Revenge Sevenfold.
Yeah. If he screams another time, he might explode.
He screams quite a bit in the new album.
I don't consider that. I mean, it's not...
No, it's not like Pray for Plague screaming.
Yeah. Suicide Season. I like Suicide Season. I don't know why you don't like it.
I don't like it.
What don't you like about it?
It sounds too... Okay. So there's one of my favorite bands that I actually hung out with, and they stayed at a house with me. I partied with them. They're called They're called oh my god, there's a 3 name. Born of Osiris.
Okay.
Their first album was very metalcore, very technical experimental metalcore. And then their second one went completely... Well, it was either second or third one. It went in complete... So basically, they went from metalcore to prog rock, to like prog metal, where like if you turn to like track 3, it sounds like you're skipping something. Like they start off and it sounds like, how the songs blend into each other? It sounds like they were blended at the middle. And like you start off and it's like you're missing the intro and everything else. Like progressive, I've never liked prog rock. And I think I don't have the attention span for it because Between the Buried and Me are incredible. I've listened to the side project of Thomas Giles, who is like the screamer and keyboardist, who's an incredible musician. Like I get that. I just don't have the attention. I can't follow it. Like you have your verse and you have like minutes of interlacing music that tells this story, and then you have the next verse, and then you have all this random changing of chords and music, and then you have another verse or a chorus, and it's like I don't understand the journey to get there. I just can't follow. I mean, that's probably just me. That's like my own inability. But
why don't you like Suicide Season?
It sounds proggy to me. It was
Okay.
too all over the place. It didn't like in Pray for Plagues. Every song has a discrete intro, an intro verse, a chorus, and like it goes on. And it's metally, it blends, it plays with those a little bit. But Suicide Silence just sounded too like it sounded like too big of a depart. Maybe if I go back and listen to it now,
Yeah,
I'd like it. But
I don't know. I don't listen to an album and think of the whole album as a story. I listen to each song on the album individually. And I didn't get that feeling that like you had to listen to one song before it, because I skip all around on Suicide Season.
Yeah.
I listen to mostly Chelsea Smile. I think it's Diamonds Aren't Forever and Suicide Season. Those are the three main songs I listen to, and that's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the thing.
I also have a really weird way of like absorbing and digesting metal, is that I go back to their first album, I listen to it beginning to end, I go to their second one beginning to end, third one, like I don't skip around and choose songs. Like I listen to the whole album, and I pick out songs that I like, but like I'm listening to the whole theme and the whole the connectedness or disconnectedness. And there's just I don't know, maybe I would like it now, but I feel like when I tried to listen to it maybe a year ago, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I approach music way differently.
Yeah.
I definitely think of an individual song. Like I can't think of a single. I mean, I love like Hybrid Theory and Meteora. We'll just use those for examples. I love every single song on that album, and I love that whole album, but I don't have to listen to it in order or think that it's a story from beginning to end. You know what I mean? I just take each individual song as what it is.
Well, and I know that, for example, like Coheed and Cambria, like they have, and there's albums that are like operas or albums that are like a story. They're concept albums, like they tell a story. And there's others that like people's writing processes. There's some people just write individual songs, and like I don't know, like I listen to each individual song, but then I listen to the whole album, and like that also, like there's a great band that I like called I Prevail, and they're newer. But like on their first album, you can definitely tell that they have not found their sound yet. Like because one song is really heavy and the other one's really poppy, and it's like it doesn't feel like they have a cohesive, like they're like, we don't know what we want to do yet. And so I kind of always listen to it that way. I'm like, what does this song mean in the bigger context? What does it mean for itself? Like what do the lyrics mean? What do the instrumentation mean? What?
We just approach it so differently because you're
know.
asking all these questions, and I'm just bobbing my head to it. I don't give a.
No, I do. No, when I find groovy metal, I'm into it. And,
Okay.
and I really, but it's interesting when I find music that I don't immediately relate to, I start doing that. But when I find metal that is like bobby and has a rhythm and is more whatever, like I don't, like I do it in reverse. Like I'm like, I come back to it later and I'm like, oh, that really smart. I love how they blended that. I love how their sound is really easy to digest, but their lyrics are good, but they're also heavy. It's like, it's interesting. It's like when I don't like it, I tend to overanalyze it to the point where I realize why I don't like it. And when I do, I don't question it. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I even analyze like lyrics on a song, like literally pay attention to what they mean until like the fifth time I listen to it. I'm just grooving along to it. Like, and if if it's not something I want to re-listen to, I never actually digest what the lyrics mean. So yeah, we very different approaches.
Two different strokes for different pokes.
But space rock.
There's no lyrics in space rock. So Kyle is ever the advocate for the YouTube video that is, as I quote, and I quote verbatim, 5 hours of relaxing psychedelic space rock.
There's also a part dose.
Oh, really?
And I think it's a travel 3 or third travel. There's 3 parts now. There's 3 of them. Total of 15 hours, folks.
That's so much space rock.
I've listened to every
I
second.
would love, I'd come into your room at your old houses, and there would just be your Bluetooth beam like your small Bluetooth speaker, and it would be real, like I wouldn't hear it, and then everyone would stop talking or we'd do whatever, and I would just hear this soothing, crazy ambient music.
It's
and
amazing.
Like, and it would just be in the
back.
it was just in the background. I wouldn't notice it until everything was quiet, and I'd be like, "How are you listening to space rock?" And you're like, "Always."
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm never not listening to space rock,
dude. Oh my god, I can't explain. It just comforts me so much.
Yeah. Well, and you have very Pavlovian conditioned it to be a very meaningful thing.
'Tis true.
Via your own psychonautic explorations.
Yes, that is accurate. Yeah. And honestly, that'd probably help in the future with any. I mean, anytime I turn it on, it brings me into a better place.
That's amazing. That's like how bluegrass music is for me. And I know I forget that, but whenever I listen to it, I had this revelation several years ago. I was like sitting at my parent, and I did a whole episode on my parents' bluegrass festival. But I would just sit there, and I just remembered that I like felt carefree and happy, and it was so far removed. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a musical antidepressant for me. Like it feels so. It's like I grew up with it, and it brings me home, and it reminds me of all these big, farm events that we had where there's hundreds of people, and there were like 100 people, and just how peaceful and happy it was. And like every time I hear bluegrass, I'm like, oh, my parents and my family, and it's like that's kind of how it feels for me.
3 things. Was bluegrass founded in Kentucky because of the bluegrass?
No.
Why is it called bluegrass?
It's just, well, I think to answer that, there's probably way better people. There's a lot of, so bluegrass music, Appalachia derives its name from the band Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys.
Which are from where? Click that.
Oh!
Yeah.
We are the bluegrass state. Oh, my God. How did I not know that?
Yeah.
I also was in a bluegrass, like my family in like, my dad was in bluegrass in Texas and Missouri and Missouri.
Second question.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta take you to Terrapin. It's not a question; it's a statement. I keep forgetting about that.
Actually, it's a demand.
It's the perfect merge of psychedelics and bluegrass.
Oh, that's amazing! Psychobilly rock.
You're gonna love it, even if you don't want to do psychedelics. There, you're gonna love it. Third question: have you talked to your parents about us going to camping there?
Oh, no, I keep forgetting, but I'm sure they're okay with it.
Third question, part 2: have you talked to your brother about next weekend?
No, I need to do that too.
Cool. Well, let's go to your parents next weekend.
Okay. That would be that's a great idea. It's also like, what's the temperature going to be?
Good, I think. I know this week it's supposed to be all 70s. I think the closer we get to Christmas, the hotter it gets. Now. Feels real nice.
Let's see. Next weekend it will be. I know that our listeners will love this. Okay. Next weekend it'll be in the 60s.
That's good.
With the lowest will be 50. So that's good camping weather.
That's good. I got a hooded top.
Okay. All right. Well, wow, what an interesting episode. We went from existential reality to music with the jobs in between.
Aye.
Nodding your agreement.
Hoy.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much as always for listening. I'm John.
Kyle.
And we are the boys in Savage Discourse, and we'll be discoursing at you soon.
Let's discourse. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wear condoms.